If you've been watching my videos, then you know I'm in this era of going all in on myself, glowing up from the inside out, really focusing on myself and my goals. I'm essentially rebuilding my life after a really difficult period of time. And something that I've noticed in the process is that during that challenging period of time, I picked up a lot of unhealthy habits. And because of those unhealthy habits, I've noticed that my mind has been more on the negative side. I've caught myself comparing myself a lot and feeling very insecure and just overall having a more negative mindset. But if you want to create change in your life and if you want to go after big goals, you need your mindset to align with those goals. So I've been working on overcoming my unhealthy habits, and I've really been working on shifting and improving my mindset to just be a lot more positive and to feel a lot more confident in myself. So I want to share with you the 5 things that I've been doing recently to really improve my mindset and essentially reprogram my mind from being this negative, very self-critical place to instead being a lot more positive so that I can take actions that are in alignment with the goals that I want to create for myself. So if you're also in a phase of your life of going all in on yourself and you've noticed that your mindset has maybe dipped into the negative side, just like mine, then I really hope that this video can help to inspire you to start shifting your mindset and working on certain habits to allow you to just feel more confident and better about yourself, because I feel like that is really the most important thing when it comes to working towards something. Is you want your mind to essentially be in alignment with what you're working towards. And when your mind is your biggest bully, when your mind is constantly criticizing everything you do, it just becomes very difficult to take action. And if you like these kinds of videos, definitely make sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the little notification bell, and without further ado, let's get into it. We live in a world of constant stimulation. There is essentially no need to ever be bored because you can just go on your phone and start scrolling on social media. You can watch a movie, you can go on YouTube. There is so much to do because of technology. And something that I realized in my own life pretty recently is that in an entire day, I would have very little moments of actual silence. And maybe you can relate to this if you're anything like me, but if I'm washing the dishes, or if I'm walking my dog, if I'm cooking dinner, if I'm cleaning, I'll listen to a podcast, I'll listen to a YouTube video, I'll listen to some type of audiobook. And sometimes it's not always personal development related. Sometimes it's just a funny, lighthearted podcast. I really love listening to funny podcasts that are just lighthearted, especially at the end of a long day. Those are just my favorite. But what I realized is that in an entire day, I didn't actually have any moments of my brain not being constantly stimulated. There are even times when I'm in the shower listening to a podcast, listening to a YouTube video. And the other day, I realized, I'm like, that is not good. Do I ever actually allow myself space to just think? And the problem with that is, if I did have moments of silence, I would almost be overwhelmed with my thoughts and my emotions. And it makes sense. When you're constantly listening to things and you're not allowing for that space and that quiet, it's not like your emotions and your thoughts and your feelings just go away. They're still there. You're just not hearing them. So when you give yourself that space of silence, you're just smacked in the face with all of these thoughts. And I noticed that for myself, the reason that I was constantly filling silence is because I didn't necessarily see the point in sitting there and thinking about my problems, because I couldn't come up with solutions to solve them. And the only solution was to just consistently take more action. So I brought this up to my therapist recently, and she said, just because you're not thinking those things or feeling your feelings doesn't mean that they're going away. You're just pushing them down, but they're still there and they still need to be acknowledged. So when she said that, I was like, wow, I really need to give myself a little bit more space. And I almost need to do a detox of dopamine, a dopamine detox. And if you've never heard of this, a dopamine detox is where you essentially detox all forms of unhealthy dopamine. So you take a break from scrolling, you take a break from eating unhealthy. And there's definitely extreme levels of dopamine detoxes. And maybe one day I'll do that, where I just literally spend an entire day sitting in a forest, absolutely zero stimulation. That would be fun to do, honestly. But for now, I really wanted to incorporate a light dopamine detox. So what I've been doing recently is just allowing myself a little more time throughout the day to do things in silence. So I've been leaving my phone in the house while I go walk my dog. I have been cooking in silence. I've been washing the dishes in silence. I've been eating in silence. I've just been allowing myself to focus on one thing at a time. So whatever it is that I'm doing, just doing that and not doing anything else. And it can be a little bit uncomfortable when you're so used to constant stimulation, but I've noticed, I really only have started doing this week, I've noticed that giving myself more of that time to just sit in silence and allow myself to just think and have my thoughts be my only source of entertainment, I notice that whenever I do go on my phone and scroll, my tolerance for stimulation is a lot lower, which made me realize that by constantly overstimulating myself, I was getting used to that constant overstimulation. Another thing I've been doing is turning the grayscale on my phone. So if you go into your settings, into your accessibility features, you can turn off color filters and it'll essentially turn your phone to black and white. And if you do this, you will notice that your phone instantly becomes so boring. Without all of the colors, it's just not as entertaining being on your phone. I've been doing this every night so that when I wake up and look at my phone to turn off my alarm, I'm not just overwhelmed by the colors that I see on my screen. Or I'll do this whenever I'm scrolling on TikTok too much. I'll turn it to black and white and suddenly I do not want to be on TikTok anymore because it's just not as exciting to be on your phone when it's black and white. And then also I've been giving myself the space to not be on my phone first thing in the morning. So I actually started my morning routine this week, which I'm going to get into next. But I wake up at 7 a.m. and I don't look at my phone. I don't look at my notifications or social media or anything until 9 a.m. So that gives me 2 hours in the morning to essentially just be in my own energy and in my own thoughts. And I have already noticed such a difference just in doing this light dopamine detox for 1 week. I have noticed that it's easier for me to regulate my emotions, and I've had more creativity. I've had a lot more ideas. I've had more positive thoughts, because especially if you're constantly scrolling on social media, you are just constantly comparing yourself. And I think that was a huge contributor to my negative mindset and to the feelings of insecurity that I've had in the past year, honestly, is that because I was going through such a challenging time, I entered almost like a state of avoidance where I was scrolling a lot on TikTok and eating unhealthy. I gained a lot of weight and I was essentially avoiding the hard feelings. And because I was scrolling so much on social media, I was comparing myself so much. And that really had a negative effect on my confidence. So that's really been something that I've been working on now that I'm back in Florida and just back in this season of rebuilding my life, is essentially rebuilding my confidence. And a big part of that is the second habit that I'm going to talk about, which is being mindful of what I'm consuming. So since I work in social media, I can't actually delete Instagram and delete all social media apps and never go on them ever again. But honestly, if you have the ability to do that, if you have no desire to work in social media or be on social media, I would honestly do that. There was a period of time before I was a social media manager and a content creator where I deleted all social media apps for, I think it was 3 or 4 months. And when I tell you, that was probably the happiest I've ever been. Just being in my own energy and just existing for me and my goals. It just felt so empowering. But at the same time, I do also know the positive effects of social media. So I think that there can definitely be a positive side to social media when you're using social media to lift you up, to learn, and to expand your perspectives. Like watching YouTube channels like mine, where you get to learn, where you get advice, and where you are able to shift your perspective, especially when you're working towards a goal and you don't have anybody in your life that has ever created something like that or is working towards something like that. It's really good to find people on social media. And I remember listening to this podcast, I think it was called To Be Magnetic. They talk all about manifestation. She teaches about finding expanders. So finding people who are essentially living the life that you want to live, because it allows you to expand what is possible for you. So I do think that there is a positive to social media, but I think just being very mindful of what you're consuming and how much you're consuming and how it's affecting you. So when I was in that state of avoidance and I was constantly scrolling on social media, because I was also in a more negative headspace, I noticed that my For You page was just filled with so much negativity. Like it was just constant of the economy is going to shit, the job market is terrible, all these terrible things about the country and about the world, and just so much negativity that I was like, well, what's the point? Like, what's the point of me going after the things that I want if the world is going to shit? And it just created such a negative mindset. And now I'm just very mindful. I do not allow myself to consume negative media anymore. I do think it's good to be informed, of course. And that's still like why I love TikTok. Honestly, I love TikTok because of how much I've learned about so many different cultures, about the world, about so many different people too. I think that the beautiful thing about social media is that it gives us different perspectives and it allows us to almost remove ourselves from our immediate bubble and see the way that other people are living their lives. And it gives you almost like a sense of like humility, knowing that I am not the center of my world and this small town in Florida isn't the center of the universe. There's so much out there. And also it reminds you too that you're not alone in your struggles. So anyways, that was a whole tangent about social media and like the positive effects of it. But I do think that when you're working on improving your mindset and improving your life is to just be very mindful of what you're consuming. Just be mindful that the content that you're consuming is mostly positive. And that just because people say things and share their experiences doesn't mean that it has to be your truth. You know, just because somebody else is struggling to find a job doesn't mean that the whole entire job market is terrible and you're never going to be able to find a job. Just because somebody's business is failing doesn't mean that that's also going to happen to you. So just kind of allowing yourself to be intentional with what you're consuming. Okay, the next thing that I'm doing to improve my mindset is having a nourishing morning routine. So I touched on this a little bit, but this was essentially like the first week of doing my morning routine, and when I tell you it was amazing, I just want to continue it. I literally have felt so amazing this week. Like my creativity, my inspiration, everything has been like at its highest, and I really do think it's because of my morning routine. So I'm just going to walk you through what I've been doing. I briefly shared this, I believe, in last week's video, but now that I've done it for a week, I just want to share it to you. Definitely not an expert yet in my morning routine. I'm still kind of figuring things out. But what I've been doing is waking up, turning off my alarm, not looking at my phone, not looking at my notifications, and instead I'll grab my journals. So I have 3 different journals. The first journal is just like a plain journal, and I will write for usually like a page. It's essentially called morning pages. You're supposed to write 3 pages of stream of consciousness journaling, but for me, that's just a lot. I don't really feel the need to write 3 pages. So usually I'll just write 1 page, and it's just literally me just writing anything that's on my mind. Sometimes it's really, really profound things that are on my mind first thing in the morning, but sometimes it's literally just me writing, I'm so tired, I'm so sleepy, I have a headache, and it's literally just me complaining. But I have noticed that it just really helps to kind of get my thoughts onto paper and just I feel like when you get your thoughts out of your mind and onto paper, you free up so much mental clarity. So that has really been helping me. So I start with that, and then I have a devotional journal. So I bought this on Amazon. I found it from somebody on TikTok. That's been really great too. It just shares like Bible verses and then a journal prompt to kind of reflect on how that Bible verse is relevant to your life. So that has also been really helpful, and there's a little prayer on there as well. The next journal that I'll use is my gratitude journal, which is essentially a dupe for the 5-minute journal. It just asks you, what are you grateful for? What will make today great? And then a positive affirmation. So I have been loving using that. And then also at the end of the day, it asks like your wins at the end of the day and like what you're proud of, essentially, something like that. But I've really been loving using that journal. And then after I do that, I will just set a 10-minute timer, and it's essentially meditation, but I don't really focus on silencing my mind. I just kind of allow. For me, like meditating is really just a space to allow whatever it is. Like I almost kind of like to think of it as like I set the 10-minute timer, and it's just my mind working itself out. Like, I'm not controlling anything. I'm not trying to do anything. I'm not purposefully thinking about certain things. I'm just allowing my mind to do its thing. So usually I'll start my meditation by doing some type of breath work. And what I've been doing, I actually learned this on TikTok. This girl was talking about doing this very quick breathing technique to shift your state like really quickly, and it actually really works. I do this anytime I feel stressed or overwhelmed, and it's been really helpful. So I'll walk you through how to do it really quick because it's super easy. But you essentially breathe all the way in, and then at the top, you breathe in one more time, and then you sigh it out completely. I already feel so much better, literally after just doing that twice. So I always start my day by doing that a couple of times, and then sometimes I'll do the box breathing too. So in for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, 4, hold for 4, and then just repeat that. So usually I do that for like the first 2 minutes of my 10-minute meditation, and then I'll just go on to like I said, just literally allow whatever thoughts are in my mind to just play, not even judging them, not controlling them, just letting them be. And something I've noticed too is that typically after that meditation, I will have some type of feelings come up. I will have some type of something that's a little bit yucky typically come up, and that's when I'll do a quick little EFT tapping session. And oh my God, this has honestly been a game changer. I used to literally do EFT tapping every single day, and I fell off of it. If you guys have been following me for a while, if you know anything about my story, EFT tapping completely changed my life. I can honestly create another video on that, but I think I might have shared it in my video all about what happened when I started focusing on myself. So I will leave that up here. I think I might have shared it on there. If I didn't, I can do a whole other video all about how EFT tapping completely changed my life. But I also have another video that breaks down exactly what EFT tapping is and how to do it. So I'll also leave that one up here and down in the description box. I'm just really happy that I'm getting back into EFT tapping because it is just such a quick way to shift your mindset. So like I said, I will just notice some type of yucky feeling typically when I wake up, especially doing that meditation. And especially after journaling and then doing the meditation, there's always a little bit of something there. Sometimes it's just like feeling stressed about my finances, feeling stressed about what I need to do that day, feeling embarrassed about something that I said yesterday. Like, it can literally be anything. And I will just do a quick little EFT tapping session and just clear it completely. And that has been absolutely amazing. I have been loving doing that. And then after that is when I'll get up, put on my gym clothes, go take my dog for a walk, eat breakfast, and then plan out my day. I bought a physical planner. I used to always be a digital planner girly. Notion is literally like my best friend, but I switched to a physical planner and I've really been loving that. So that's just like a quick rundown on my morning routine, and that has really been helping me. Okay, the next thing that I've been doing to improve my mindset is I have been investing in myself. So I talked about this a lot in my video all about ways that I elevate my life, that I really love doing things day to day to just be the most like elevated and luxurious version of myself, even if my current circumstances are not essentially aligning with what I want. I think that we can still find joy and pleasure and luxury in our current circumstances, even if they're literally so far from what we actually want in life. And I also think that investing in yourself and doing the things that make you feel your most elevated and luxurious actually gets you closer to what it is that you want. So what has really been helping me is investing in myself. So I go to a luxury gym and literally love my luxury gym. Like I said, I've already talked about that in my previous video, but I love my gym. And then I also invest in myself by going to hot yoga every week. So I also have a ClassPass membership. Love that. I've been investing in myself by going to therapy. So that has been really helpful for me, especially in navigating the emotions that come up with change, and then also navigating healing essentially after that difficult period of my life. I've been going to a lot of community events. I have invested in a business mentor who has really helped me the last couple of months in finding clarity in my business and taking action towards my business goals, which I talked about in my video all about the steps that I'm taking to build a successful business. I don't think that investing in yourself necessarily means spending money on things. I think it's literally just about prioritizing yourself. And this is the last thing that I've been doing to improve my mindset, is putting myself first. So since I've been in this era of really focusing on myself and my goals, I have honestly gotten very comfortable with saying no and really only doing things that align with the life that I'm creating for myself. If it's going to overextend me, if it's gonna pull me further away from my goals, I have no interest in doing it. And I've honestly been a little bit selfish with my energy. Like, I really have been pouring so much energy into myself. And of course, I've also been taking time to nourish my friendships. Like, it's not like I'm cutting off every single person in my life. Like, I'm still doing a lot to nourish other people. What I more so mean by this is that I'm really putting my goals first and putting that as my top priority, at least in this phase of my life, while I'm in this era of like really focusing on myself. And another way that I've also been putting myself first is I turned off my notifications to my iMessages. I noticed that I was constantly felt like I was getting pulled in different directions, and it was almost like pulling me out of the present moment anytime I would get a notification. Whereas now, I don't have my notifications on for my messages, so I will probably check my messages every 2 or 3 hours, and it's been so nice to choose when I want to respond to people rather than reacting to people messaging me. So that has been a really great way to put myself first and focus on myself. And then kind of going along with putting myself first and putting my goals first is doing my best to think positively about my future and about myself, more so about my ability to create a better future for myself. Especially if you've been in a negative mindset for a while and you've been comparing yourself, or you feel insecure and you have a lot of self-doubt, it can be almost like a muscle that you need to rebuild to essentially rebuild your belief in yourself. One of my favorite affirmations that I probably say to myself every single day is, I believe in my ability to create a beautiful life for myself. And so I really love that affirmation because I feel like it puts the power in my hands. I believe that I am capable of creating my life. It's not something that I'm waiting for. It's not something that I'm hoping for or dreaming for. It's something that I am actually taking action towards. So I really hope that you found this video helpful. Definitely make sure to leave a comment down below and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss my next video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.